Your minimum payment isn't designed to get you out of debt. It's designed to keep you in it. That's not an accusation. It's the formula. It's printed on your statement, in a box almost nobody reads, using math almost nobody checks. $6,000, 24% interest, a required payment that gets smaller every single month, right as your balance and your motivation start to drop. By the end of this, you'll know exactly why that happens, what it actually costs you over 21 years, and the one number you can freeze to cut that down to under 5 without a raise, a side hustle, or a better interest rate. Here's the setup. You open a credit card, you carry a balance. Every month, the statement tells you the minimum amount due. You pay it, you feel like you've done the responsible thing. You've done exactly what the formula wanted you to do. That's not on you. Nobody hands you a warning label with your card. Most minimum payments are calculated the same basic way, 1% of your balance plus that month's interest. Different issuers tweak the exact numbers. Some use 2% instead of 1%, some add a flat floor so the payment never drops below something like $25. But the core mechanic is identical everywhere. The payment is a percentage of whatever you currently owe, recalculated every single month. A percentage pointed at a shrinking number always produces a shrinking output. That's not a glitch. That's just what percentages do. Think of your balance like a fight you're trying to win. You hit it, it loses ground. Eventually it should reach 0. Except in this fight, your hit strength is tied to the target's remaining size. As the balance shrinks, your required payment shrinks with it, automatically every month with no announcement. It also stops feeling like debt after a while. It starts feeling like a subscription, a small, predictable charge that shows up every month, gets paid, and gets forgotten until the next one. Debt you're actively trying to eliminate feels urgent. A subscription just feels routine. That shift isn't a character flaw, it's just how attention works. And it's worth remembering the next time this balance makes you feel like you're failing at something you're actually not failing at. Revolving balances, the ones that carry over month to month instead of getting paid off in full, are a meaningful source of revenue for the credit card industry. A payment schedule that keeps you in it comfortably for as long as possible without you ever technically defaulting isn't an accident of bad math. It's a design choice. And there's a reason people don't push back against this. There's real behavioral research on minimum payments. Show people a minimum payment number on a statement, and most of them treat it less like a flaw and more like a suggestion. Same balance, same person, different framing. And people consistently pay closer to whatever number is printed than to what they could actually afford. The box isn't just informational, it's an anchor. Let's make this concrete. Here's the actual math. You're carrying a balance of $6,000. Interest rate, 24% APR, 2% a month. Standard minimum payment formula, 1% of the balance, plus that month's interest. Month 1, your minimum payment comes out to around $180. Of that, $120 is interest. $60 is principal. 2/3 of your payment covers what you already owe. 1/3 actually reduces the balance. You pay it. The balance drops a little. Next month, the balance is lower, so 1% of it is a smaller number. The required payment drops too. You pay that smaller number. The balance drops a little more. The required payment drops again. This isn't occasional, it happens every single month, by design, for the entire life of the balance. There's a second mechanic worth knowing, because it quietly makes things worse. Once you're carrying a balance, the grace period on new purchases usually disappears. Normally, paying your statement in full means new purchases don't accrue interest before the due date. Once you're revolving a balance, that grace period is typically gone. New charges start accruing interest immediately on top of what you already owe. If you stopped here, you might walk away thinking minimum payments are just slow, annoying, but eventually fine. They're not eventually fine. Take a breath, because the actual number is bigger than most people expect. Run that $6,000 balance at 24% APR. letting the minimum payment shrink every month exactly the way it's designed to, and the balance doesn't clear in a year, or 5, or 10, 21 years. Total paid across those 21 years, $16,887. On a $6,000 balance. That's not a worst-case scenario. That's the standard formula, doing exactly what it's supposed to do, with no missed payments and no additional charges. 10 years in, halfway through, you'll have paid every single month on time, and the balance still sitting on your statement will be around $1,796. Still there. A decade of payments, and you're not even 3/4 of the way through. None of this means you did something wrong. It means the system was built this way long before you got your first card. And none of this is hidden either. Federal law requires credit card statements to show a minimum payment warning, a table stating roughly how long it will take to pay off the balance at the minimum, and what that will cost in total. It's sitting on your statement right now, usually right next to the minimum amount due. Almost nobody reads it because it's formatted like fine print instead of a warning. The reason it feels endless isn't that you're bad at this. It's that the payment was built to feel manageable, while still technically taking decades. So here's the good part. There's one adjustment, and it's genuinely not complicated. Stop letting the minimum payment shrink. Freeze it. Take your first month's minimum payment, in this example, about $180, and keep paying that exact amount every month, even after the printed minimum drops below it. You're not paying more than you were already capable of paying in month 1. You're just not letting the payment shrink along with the balance. Here's what that changes. Run the same $6,000 balance, same 24% APR, with the payment frozen at $180 a month instead of recalculating smaller. 1 year in, the two paths don't look that different. The frozen path is only about $100 ahead. That's easy to miss. It doesn't feel worth the effort yet. Keep going and the gap stops being small. Paid off in 4 years and 8 months. Total paid, around $9,987. Same debt, same interest rate, same person. One difference, a payment that doesn't shrink, and you save around $6,900 and cut 16 years off the timeline. You don't have to be perfect to get there. You just have to make this one decision once, instead of letting a formula make it for you every month. If a flat $180 a month isn't realistic right now, here's the actual floor you need to clear. Whatever that month's interest charge is, in this example, about $120. Anything below that, and you're not making progress. The interest is absorbing the entire payment before it touches the balance. But even a modest $150 a month, frozen and never allowed to shrink, pays this same balance off in under 7 years instead of 21, for about $4,700 less in interest. One more detail worth knowing. If your card carries more than one balance type at different rates, the law requires that any amount you pay above the minimum gets applied to the highest interest portion first. That happens automatically once you're paying above the minimum. This isn't the debt avalanche or the debt snowball. Those are about which balance to attack first when you're juggling more than one card. This works underneath either strategy. Whatever your real payment is on any balance, don't let the required minimum talk you into paying less than that again. Minimum payments aren't a repayment plan. They're a floor, calculated in the lender's favour, that happens to be legal, disclosed, and almost universally ignored. Freezing your payment at whatever you can already afford today is the whole strategy. No app, no raise, no side hustle required. Just a number you choose on purpose and stick with. If this was useful, I hope it gave you something you can actually use. Subscribe if you'd like more of this. Share it with anyone still on autopilot with their minimum. It might be exactly what they need to see today. And in the comments, I'd genuinely like to know, what's the actual minimum payment on your statement right now? And have you ever paid more than that on purpose? You can also find the channel on Instagram and TikTok, links in the description. There's also a small shop on Gumroad with a few tools that might help, link in the description too.